Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, where we forget all of the important things. I'm on my way to the Radwood Auto Show. As you can see, I am on the road with my phone very safely inside the gauge cluster. I am very excited to be going to this show. I actually haven't even attended a car show in several years. I believe the last one I went to was the LA Auto Show a couple of years ago. And the LA Auto Show is going on right now, so I might take a trip over there when I'm done here at Radwood. It is actually on my way home, so I kind of don't have much excuse not to, unless the place is totally crowded. Welcome to my office. Since there was so much music playing at the Radwood Auto Show, I am going to share my thoughts here audibly for you guys. And we're just going to go through the entire video. You're just going to hear my voice. You're not going to see my dumb face this whole time. You're just going to hear me talk about the cars that I walked through and found interesting and why I found them interesting. So, without any further delay, let's get started, starting with my car. First off is my car. This is my 1989 Honda Prelude 2.0 SI. For the engine, I've got an AEM cold air intake. It's trimmed to fit. I've relocated the Optima red top battery to the trunk. I have a 94 Accord alternator, a dual radiator fans blowing 3,600 cubic feet per minute, LSD Motorsports catback exhaust. I don't really have much else in terms of the engine. It has almost 300,000 miles on it and has run so reliably that I haven't really needed to do a whole lot to it. For suspension, I've got K-Sport coilovers. I have white line front and rear sway bars. This is an excellent mod, by the way. I have adjustable sway bar end links on the rear. I've got front and rear strut bars made by Jordan Gladman in his garage in Canada. EM Racing C-pillar bar, which I'm convinced does nothing, but it still looks cool. I've got Rota Circuit 8 wheels on Bridgestone Potenza RE71R tires, which are amazing tires. I have four-wheel steering swapped in from a donor car. I also have a big brake kit made by Willwood, and that's available on Summit Racing. On the interior, I've got a Kenwood Marine head unit mounted in the trunk with a wired remote with Bluetooth connectivity, MB Quart speakers with individual crossovers, a 1.2 farad capacitor, two 10-inch Kicker Comp VR subwoofers, and Rockford Fosgate amplifiers. The car is painted in Suzuka Blue, which is the S2000 color. Alright, moving on, we've got some Integras, and one of the things I like about these cars are clearly enjoyed by their drivers, and that's why I really loved these Integras, the Civic, and really this whole area in general was the cars that were not concourse quality. The concourse cars were out on the grass. These cars were the shit boxes for the most part. The shit boxes, the tuners, the things people lived in, the cars that people really identified with. And that's what I really liked about this section. Then we've got a Miata that is heavily modified. This thing looks like it could have been at the track. It's got a real roll bar, some nice tires, very low suspension, long gear selector. I got a Toyota Mr. 2, a Honda CRX, very clean CRX. And that car doesn't belong here, like at all. We got over here some Buicks, which are pretty neat land yachts. They're very comfortable from what I know. And that big ass Roadmaster. Alfa Romeo, I know nothing about those cars. This van, the Dodge Caravan, is something that had my uncle owned and kept on the road until probably like 3-4 years ago. Nice Z, Beamer, a Corvette. If I were to buy a Corvette, this would be probably the year that I get. Not only are they the cheapest and the crappiest, but they have pop-up headlights. And now moving on to this Renault. I don't think I've ever seen one of these in person before. This looks like it's a lot of fun to drive. It's probably very slow. In fact, the owner said it's slow, but it looks like it handles so well. This thing, at first, I thought was a factory. Just walking up to it from behind was a going from the factory, so I was kind of freaked out. But then I saw it's very clearly a modification, and the uh, steel case with the money and the brick phone apparently is a kind of a staple of Radwood, so that was really cool. What makes this car cool is all of these little gauges. That's how you know you have a sports car. We're going back to the future. In fact, I saw a pair just like this on Bring a Trailer. The owner was telling me about it. I believe he actually owned the one that sold on Bring a Trailer or something like that. And then we have a time machine. And the owner of the original DeLorean was shouting, "Stock is better!" And then I'm just saying right here that this car must be awful to drive, especially if it's a manual transmission. Like you can't touch anything in that stick shift. It reminds me of the kit cars from Knight Rider. Impossible to drive. This car is pretty cool. The owner was talking about how he ruined it, quote unquote, by modifying the exhaust. But this is apparently the original color and a very rare color for the Ferrari Testarossa. And I for one resent the whole "I ruined it by modifying it" thing. I mean, obviously, if you looked at my car, that's not a thing. Now we're on to Preludes. This Prelude is a four-wheel steering with the electronic system. It's apparently a museum piece, so nobody really enjoyed it, from what I can tell. But I sure do like looking at it. I do want a VTEC Prelude. Next up is a clown shoe. This clown shoe is very modified, and obviously the owner had some fun in it because it's heavily modified. It's got Porsche wheels on it. It's got a little scooter on the back. This thing just looks like. Speaking of shit boxes, this car I thought was a genuine roadkill car from the Roadkill show, but it's not. But I love that exhaust sticking out the hood. I think it's just the neatest thing, and the all the crap on the grill. This is a Miata M Edition. It's a very clean car. Someday I'd like my Miata to look this good. It won't be concourse, but whatever. There's only one word to describe this line of cars, and that is legendary. This one is my favorite trim. It's the V6 with a 6-speed in it. That is probably the coolest legend. These cars, I had a girlfriend who had a car this same color. It was an automatic 1.8 liter, but it was a very, very easy car to work on, and I really enjoyed it. This car has 375,000 miles, and it looks really good with that many miles on it. I am definitely a fan. Way more miles than my car has, and it looks better than. Speaking of cars that look better than mine, this is what my car looked like when I was 16 years old, when I bought it. It complete with the wheel covers before I quote unquote ruined it by modifying it. It's got that big long donkey dick shifter on it, the giant steering wheel. Otherwise, oh, it's got Prelude floor mats, which is really cool. I was never able to find those. Everything's in perfect shape, even the seat belts, the original seat belts that were probably never done on the factory recall. This is another car that's on my list of projects to get someday because of the pop-up headlights and because my mom had a black one that was just like Knight Rider, black and tan interior. Very cool. This is a Fiero T-top. I love T-tops. In fact, my mom's Trans Am that I was just talking about was a T-top. But this is a really neat little car. These two cars, this Miata and Prelude, belong to another YouTuber. Subscribe to his channel. Oh yeah, about that. He's a really, really cool guy. Talked to him and hung out with him and his group for probably most of the day. His car is in very, very good shape. It has a lot of miles on it too. I was really surprised at how many miles it has and what good a condition that he kept the car in. He's a really big fan of returning things to factory. I love his equalizer underneath the stereo. I actually want one of those really, really bad. And this Miata apparently was painted with a rattle can. It's hard to notice unless you get really close, but he did a really, really good job. And those are wheels from a later year Miata. Interior looks really good. He did a lot of work on it too. I have the same timing belt, except my timing belt is covered because I don't like bent valves. Otherwise, this is an awesome build. This tiniest steering wheel I've ever seen. It looks like a video game steering wheel. It's just tiny. This whole row of cars is tiny steering wheels, apparently. That's an exaggeration. It was only 2 or 3 cars. I used to race against a guy that had a car like this in high school on Brand Boulevard, and he would just destroy me. At least he did when his air conditioner was off. It wasn't an AMG. I don't know that this is an AMG. It might be, but his car definitely was. This car is definitely a grass car. It belongs to a guy named Tyson. He's a really cool guy. Talked to him for a bit at the show as well. It's a very clean car. It has some miles on it, and he's actually done a lot of work to restore it, mainly on the undercarriage because it was from the East Coast. It had a lot of rust buildup, and he fixed all of that and made a really nice car out of it. This Porsche is so cool. This 944. I love it because somebody had fun in this car. It is beat up, it's trashed, it's lifted, it's got these huge wheels on it. Given enough time, everything gets an LS. This car actually belongs with an LS motor. It's also a T-top. I like the Catfish Camaros. I know they're a very divisive style, but I like it. This car belongs in the grass. I was kind of surprised that it's out here with the regular jackoffs, but this is a very nice car. Supra2jz.323 on Instagram. Go give them a follow. I just got nothing to say about this car. It's just beautiful. Yes. 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 Turbo. Maybe. Hell yes. K24. And H22. This is my favorite. I can't wait to build one for my car. One question. How are you supposed to deliver pizza in this, Domino's? Where's the pizza gonna go? I love this car. This is my favorite Ferrari here, and I think this one won an award. Love the gated shifter. I love that it's disgusting on the outside. It's very brown interior. And all those really cool little switches with the chrome crap all over it. This car has had some fun. This is not a concourse museum piece. This is something someone loves. Binford Tools from Home Improvement. I love the little tiny truck inside the big truck. And here's a Prelude. It's a 87 or a second generation. My dad had one like this. He got rear-ended in it, but I loved that car. It was just about as quick as my third generation, except for the spaghetti monster vacuum lines underneath the hood. That was kind of a nightmare. Judging by the stickers, I'd say this car has about 800 horsepower. And the tint on the windshield. Judging by the stickers on this car, I'd say it has 1,200 horsepower. Everything about this car is just fun. You know, it was stupid at the time, but now it's great. I wasn't expecting this Suzuki to look so good lowered. And it has period correct stereo, that's for sure. This truck belongs to another YouTuber, Hello Road. He's much more popular than me. But the flare side F-150 is really cool. I'd love to build one and to build like a Lightning replica. This is another car that my dad had one like, and he ruined it. That was kind of his thing, was to ruin cars. But the Tercel was a really neat car, except the transmission was really tough to work on. This is my favorite NSX because of the wide body, because of the big wide wheels. The modifications are just really, really cool. They really set this car off. This is my favorite generation of RX-7, not only because of the pop-up headlights, but it's a really small car. It's, you know, kind of no BS. There's so much going on under this hood, I don't even know. This is just an insane build, and it's really cool to see it in an Accord wagon. But what a build. That looks to be a sequential shifter. This is a really well-built Prelude with a turbo. 4th generation. This is something I'm going to have to get someday. That little screen in there is really interesting. That's definitely an iPad. I just wonder if it's connected to the car. Alright, well that's going to wrap it up for the Radwood Auto Show. In my next video, we're going to the LA Auto Show. In fact, I went to the LA Auto Show right after going to Radwood, so I'm pretty beat up by the time I get there, and I get to be a little more, let's just say, critical of the vehicles there. Thank you for watching.